off this exercise now by choosing the first two cards and going through the process of finding connections and links between the two cards. So as I said earlier, we're going to be choosing the top card and the base card for this exercise. And let's say there's an imaginary querent. We don't have to focus on any particular question. It's just going to be kind of a loose association of all different types of possibilities there may be in finding the connections between the cards, seeing what the story is. So each card will tell an individual story, and then we need to gel those two stories, to marry those two stories together and see where they could kind of disperse into all different directions, because a story is never just a queer story is never just an isolated standalone incident, whether it's about relationships or work, lifestyle. Just everything is interconnected. Nothing stands alone. Everything affects everything else. So we're going to start now with the first card. So I'm just going to take my lovely celestite out of the way. And the first card we have here on top is the Nine of Wands. Okay, so we're going to put him down here. And we're going to take the base card, which is the Six of Cups. So I'm going to leave the rest of the deck aside here for the moment, and we're going to concentrate on these two cards. So I actually feel I want to put them this way around, because I'm making a connection here, and I'm seeing themes coming through, but I feel it works better this way. So remember, this is not an organized, we don't have any positions for them. This is just making connections between the cards. So in the Six of Cups here, we find this, the Six of Cups is all about nostalgia, childhood, the family homestead, your upbringing, it's about family harmony, peace, balance. It's the stability and security that your home life typically brings you if you come from a happy family. The Six of Cups often appears when you're taking a trip down memory lane, or somebody from your past has resurfaced, or you're taking a trip home. It's also a card for being homesick as well, where you miss home. When you move out of home and move out into the big world, there can be a sense of loss, and thinking back about your childhood. For parents as well, when their children grow up and leave and flee the nest, there's often that sense of nostalgia and sentiment involved. The Six of Cups also deals with the aging process as well, maybe having to, those who cared for us when we were children, the role is reversed now and we must care for them. So we often see adults' faces in the children's dress up, and we become confused and say they look like adults, but they're like children. So it can be role reversal as well. So there's a great sense of security, feeling safe within the boundaries of the family home. And the family kind of warmth and energy that surrounds you. It's somewhere where you can run to. If you come from a happy family background, the family home is somewhere that you always return to, in good times, in bad times. When you're feeling low, it's your family who will welcome you in. You want to go home, you want to be looked after. They're the people who care for you the most, the people who know you the longest, know your ins and outs, know your flaws, and still love you anyway. So in this setup here, we have let's say this is the family homestead. Now you see, it's very pleasant. It's very, I like that, nostalgic, the good old days when we were growing up, the games we used to play. And we have the buildings here. Now, if you can see this, the buildings, there doesn't seem to be any gap between the buildings at all. So there's an enclosed environment we get the feeling of. It's like a garden area where the outside world doesn't, kind of breach that inner sanctum, where you're protected, you're defended, and you're safe. So in the background here, if you can see him, we have this soldier on guard. Now, it doesn't have to be a soldier. It's kind of symbolically, it looks like somebody is patrolling the perimeter of the property, the territory, the family environment. So it gives an idea of being well protected and defended. Nothing is going to get in at you in the family home. You are safe there. No one is going to allow anything to happen to you. And it's a nice, peaceful, harmonious, safe, stable environment. And this person here is making sure that nothing changes in that regard, that what's outside stays outside, and what's inside stays inside as well, and that nothing threatens that. And that's I want you to focus on, because one of my links I got as soon as I saw these two cards was a sense of a threat. When we see somebody patrolling the property like that, now it could be just somebody going out to go from building to building, but in this instance I'm getting the sense that is somebody's watching and guarding, and why is it? Is there fear that somebody's going to come in and disturb the beautiful happy arrangement that they have? But as it is in the Six of Cups, and the six in numerology as well gives this lovely sense of peace, harmony, balance. After do the fives in the suits, the fives, it brings disruptive energy, and it can throw lives into chaos depending on the particular suit that's involved that the five brings. So the Five of Cups, if we remember before this card, there was the figure in the black cloak, and it was upset, traumatized, grieving, distressed. Everything that he thought he had was gone. Some of it might have been his own fault. There's a sense of everything just turning upside down in his life. It could have been a bereavement, trauma of some sort, upset at the end of a relationship, but also in that Five of Cups, we might also find kind of being estranged from the family, cast aside or ostracized for some reason or other. But in the Six of Cups, we get the restoration of harmony and balance within the suit of cups. If they have been ostracized from the family or estranged, they're back in. They're back in the inner circle, the inner fold, and all is good again. And they're going to be looked after and protected here. Now in the Nine of Wands, I immediately made a connection between this guy and this guy here. Are they one or the same? And if so, what is the connection? Here in the Nine of Wands, 9 in itself is the numerology as things near an end, closure, something winding down, the end of a situation, curtains closing, storyline coming to an end. Things that were constant and familiar and reliable in life, you could rely on them, depending on, there's a sense that that might be changing. Things may be beginning to alter in life, and this is like preparing for the end of something so that something new will begin after that. Now in this card, we see this individual guy, and he seems to be on guard. He's guarding. These are all his wands behind him. This is all he's worked hard for all his life. All the life he's built for himself, everything that he's put in place. And this is behind him, and he's standing on guard here. He's got a bandage around his head, suggesting that he's been through some battles, that acquiring all this, the life he has and successes and everything he does, didn't come easy. He had to fight his way through things, and we must remember this is like an imaginary querent. What could he possibly have fighting for? It could be just fighting to establish himself in a career. If he has a family, making the family situation secure and stable so that he can bring up his children in that environment, making sure there's enough money to go around. He's trying to maintain and protect and defend what is rightfully his, what he considers is rightfully his. So we see him in this card here, that there's a slight wariness and stress about his demeanor. He looks definitely like he's on guard, but not in a relaxed sense where we might find this was his habitual way of looking after and maintaining things. And it was within a certain sense of relaxation in guarding and minding and defending everybody. Now there's a sense of a threat. We get the feeling that there might be danger at the door, or he's sensing that there's an approaching threat to his setup, and he's on guard. He's waiting for something to happen. He kind of smells it in the wind. He can sense something is coming down the line, and he is he's not going to give up without a fight. He's not going to let anybody come and take away everything that he's built up in his life, everything that he's worked hard for. He might be stressing himself out unnecessarily. There might be nobody coming to get him. This is a stage card, so we've got to question his perception of his situation with the stage card, because what he's imagining may not actually be true. It might all be in his head. The Nine of Wands often brings in a sense as well of paranoia and suspicion. There's a nervous energy here, and an exhaustion has set in that, like, how long can you defend a particular situation? This guy, the Wands are normally open to change, constant change, and they're like, but must remember, this is coming to the end of their journey, and they have acquired a lot here. And there's a feeling that he's digging his heels in, and he doesn't really want change to occur. He's not happy about what the change might bring. So he's going to make his last stand, and he's going, I'm not going to go, let anything be taken from me. I'm going to stand here on guard, and to the end, till death, will I defend what I have. So when we have these two cards together, how might that actually be connected? Now, for starters, we have a 6 and a 9. So we've got multiples of 3s happening here. So with the multiples of 3s, I would get the impression that life is progressing. 3s are numbers for progress. And life progresses in stages. It progresses, it stabilizes, and it progresses on again. In the 9, as I said, something is coming to an end and something new is going to take over. So there's progression happening, but there is this reluctance to let that progression happen. Now, we see the situation with, let's say, the family home, the setup, your particular setup in life, and he feels threatened. Is there an enemy outside? Does he perceive a threat that's going to breach this? On what level is the threat? We could even come down to an actual personal security. Perhaps there's been attempted break-ins in the area. Maybe his own house was, maybe this area was, they discovered somebody had breached the inner sanctum, somebody had broken in, and he now realizes that if you see the gaps between the wands here, there's no gaps here. He can't keep constant control of it. He can't, guard every single one of those gaps. The outside world is beginning to encroach in this situation, and it depends. It could be anything that's encroaching in the situation. It may be, let's say, a relationship. Okay, maybe this man has been in a relationship, married for years, has kids, and they've experienced this traditional normal life where this is the family home, the kids grew up and they had all their family gatherings and everything here. Is something threatening that? Is somebody within the family, within the relationship, possibly showing signs of discontent, boredom? The 6 of Cups, for all its stability and security and feeling looked after and cared for, after a period of time, that actually can become stifling. You're supposed to move on from that energy. Children aren't supposed to stay at home forever. So they kind of progress out of that. So you can get to a stage where somebody can feel stifled by all the sameness and feels that, oh gosh, oh, this is great, I have a roof over my head, I'm well looked after, I'm well taken care of, we have money, our children are happy, we want for nothing. But my God, am I so bored? I want more. Now, usually when something like that happens, it doesn't go unnoticed. There is a growing sense of a kind of pressurized energy, a claustrophobic energy building within the confines of the 6 of Cups. And let's say this is the person, this could be representing a male or female, they sense this shift in energy, and it terrifies them. They, instead of finding a way around changing things and making maybe this place less confining, less restricting, maybe they need to widen the gaps there and let a little bit of freedom and give rein, because things change constantly. But this person here may be trying to resist that change, and instead of working to find a solution and a compromise about this boredom or this discontent that's set in stagnation, because stagnation is very common with the Six of Cups. If we just slot into this little setup and don't expand ourselves beyond that, stagnation can occur. But he's trying to stop that. He doesn't want to change in the status quo. So instead of, as I said, opening up and compromising, is he becoming paranoid, superstitious, and just being vigilant, watching everything, and trying to thwart maybe his partner in, making their little escapes here and there, that there's a tension building, that, like a standoff. So we could also, it could be something like that. As I said, it could be a threat of actual break-in. Something has happened. Maybe the property was vandalized, and now he realizes that he has to take extra care. Something might have happened in the area, or perhaps he lives. Maybe this setup is in an area where there's a high crime rate, and you have to be on your constant guard. He may have very expensive equipment in his house. It might be he might work from home even, and there's a lot to be protected and a lot to be defended. So he looks like he's wearing himself out, and it doesn't match with this nice kind of relaxed feeling in the family life. So this is, to me, will be introducing a sense of tension and a resistance to change, which would be making those within that boundary feel very guarded, locked up, being watched all the time. Now, that coming into a relationship, and other cards which show something like that, you're being watched, you're being monitored, that there's nowhere you can go without you being checked up on all the time. Everything you do is being observed, who you're on the phone to, who you went out with, how long you've gone out, where were you, what did you buy, checking up on you on the phone when we go somewhere, because this person will be happier if you were here all the time. They don't like you going out because they like this environment, because they know where you are. So there's a sense of control here, trying to control his environment. So we could also, let's say this is the family home, and the children who've grown there, and you've been able to exert control over them for years. You lay down the rules, you tell them where they can go, where they can't go, what they can do, what they can't do, what time they have to be in at night. Let's say the children now are beginning to grow up. They're beginning to enter their teenage years or adolescence, and they're looking for a little bit of freedom. There's guys hanging around the girls. Let's say this man, he's looking at his teenage daughters, and he's watching, all these young fellas hanging around them. And where are you going? You can't go out in that. That's too short on you. You can't. We need to know where you are. So, where he was able to control his children when they were younger, he may not be able to exert that control. So he has to, loosen up a little bit. But he's watching, and this is the man who, when his teenagers are out at their discos or with their friends or parties, he'll stay up. He won't sleep. He'll stay up until they come in. He won't be able to relax. Now, it could be a woman. We're not talking about any particular genders. I'm just giving you different case scenarios, imaginary scenarios that the querent may be experiencing. So his mind is running riot. His imagination is running away with him. He's thinking of all the things that could possibly happen, and rightly so. It is a dangerous world out there, and he knows all the dangers out there because he's actually been out there in the world. He knows exactly what can happen, and he's thinking of his lovely young daughters, his young sons, and he wishes he could just keep everything the way it was. But, this cannot be kept indefinitely, this kind of little happy, close setup. So he's at some stage, he's going to have to say, right, okay, I can't control this anymore. I can protect you and defend you to a certain extent. I can, try to make sure that I've instilled in you, safety, procedures and to make sure you're looked after and take care of yourself. But I just can't keep this up any longer. But he's holding out to the last. And as he sees his children begin to grow and flee the nest, he's, it's all beginning to break down for him, and he's going to have to realise that he can't do it any longer, and he'll move into a new phase. But that, lots of parents, and especially fathers about their daughters and grown saying, "Oh, I'm terrified. Oh my God, terrified of when boyfriends around and guys, and they'll be vetting them and putting them to give the third degree when they meet them. Are you good enough to be taking my daughter? Can I trust you?" So there's this guarded wariness that's going on. So that's another little kind of scenario that we might find within these two cards. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, so bringing back to the family setup in this card again, we might be seeing an overly strict environment, an overly controlled environment, that there's very little freedom for those who live in the environment. That might be for the partner, the children involved, and there's also a sense of not wanting others to breach that, that there's a sense of we don't discuss outside these four walls what goes on within these four walls. There might be a sense of a desperate need for privacy, and that the family are contained and they don't want anybody to know their business. Sometimes with the Six of Cups, especially when it's reversed, we may find a dysfunctional setup. We may find this is the apparent happy family. You see the photograph, them all lined up and they're all smiling, but it behind it all, there's something more sinister going on. And if it was that kind of situation, maybe this person is making sure that what the sinister stuff that's going on does not get out. That the people who are involved in this aren't allowed to go out and tell anybody else or make good their escape, that they're being kept. And if we had other cards around, even at this, somebody could be kept against the will. And I'm not talking about incarceration or anything, but we might have a controlling character here who won't let somebody go, who won't let them out, who blocks their way, and is watchful all the time. So it could be about letting secrets out. I mean, if we had other cards here like the High Priestess or the Moon, this person is guarding secrets belonging to this situation, which may not be very savory. When we have the reverse Six of Cups, we're often looking at dysfunctional families. We'll also look at child abuse, incest, things that go on behind closed doors, domestic violence. You'd have to have cards around that, surrounding it, that would lead you to that impression that might be an issue that's going on. But when you see the reverse Six of Cups, you have to look in those areas. Now, the reverse Six of Cups, suggests as well that your memory of something is based in the past. That when you have been away for a long time from home, or you go back to the family home after a long time and see people that you knew, that you went to school with, and you hold fond, sweet memories of your past. But when you go back to it, everything has changed. Everything is different. It's not the same, and you don't have the same feeling for it. So sometimes the nostalgic memories and sentiment it's no longer bears resemblance to anything that's in reality, but it's our memories, our fond memories. So you could, maybe the guy or the girl that you were crazy about in school, and you go home and you find out they've turned out to be the greatest awful people going, or say, thank God, and I used to grow up in, I wish I was his girlfriend, her girlfriend. So it's your perception of things change. So in saying that, we could have this person kind of, excessively guarding their memories of the past. Maybe they have very set memories of their past, and others are saying, well, that's not actually what happened. Saying, this is what I choose to believe about my past, and I'm going to, defend that position until the last. This is how I remember things. But we also look at this character here, and we must question, okay, this card is upright, but I've actually put all the cards upright so that we could play around in reverse. This guy could be looking back and saying that, oh, everybody thought my family life and my upbringing was brilliant. But he sees it in a different way. He's looking back and he sees all the things, all the past hurts and injuries from his upbringing. And he said, so many people envied what I had and thought we had the great setup, the beautiful house, the perfect family, but I see it differently and I remember it differently. So maybe all these things behind him are his issues with regarding his upbringing. So that's another interesting way of looking at it. Just put that back upright again. Perhaps there is an actual physical threat to the property. Maybe he's been struggling to make the payments on his home. Maybe he's fallen into arrears in his mortgage, and this is his beautiful home that he's built up for his family, and now there's a threat to its security. He also has a bandage around his head, so we could also be looking at that this guy is injured. He maybe has a work-related injury. Maybe he no longer has the strength and the stamina to maintain all this, all the work, all the money coming in. We could see him in reverse where he's beginning to weaken. He can't keep up the level of energy that he's been expending in maintaining all this. So if he might be fearful of losing everything. If we had Pentacle cards coming with, the Five of Pentacles, and those were the reversed Pentacles, there might be a sense of losing his home. So he's on guard. He's fighting. He's going to fight till the last to keep everything going because he wants the roof over his head for his children. He promised and he worked hard to keep them safe and secure within the family. But now something is threatening to take that away. There's gaps, as I said, appearing here. Something is coming in. He can no longer keep things at bay. Stuff is getting in. So he's wearing himself out at this stage with stress and worry. So we could have so many different scenarios going on here. With the multiples of 3, progress is happening. Things are changing. And regardless of how long he stands there defending, he will have to acknowledge that change at some stage and not be so resistant. So there's loads more connections and links we could make between these cards, and we have water, we have fire. So there's we can look in different ways, but you yourself from watching this will have been thinking of saying, oh, is she going to make? I see a connection there. Will she make it because I've seen it? Not necessarily. We are all reading a different way, and again, this really depends on what cards come around it and what the question is, what the intention is for the reading. But this exercise is just trying to use our imagination to make these connections, to find stories and themes that might be going on. And it's interesting because we have this guy trying to defend what he has, and now we at times then we have him being controlling, so we can turn him from the villain to the hero from one second to the next. So we're going to leave it at that, and the next video we'll be returning to do another 2 cards, and I hope you got something out of that, and I hope you could see the process I was working through in finding those connections, and you enjoyed the little storylines that we came up with, and maybe you'll add to those yourself. If you'd like to, in the comment box below, if you see other connections, please post them in the comment box, because other viewers, readers, would like to see your version, your interpretations as well. And that's how we all learn, by sharing information. I've learned from other tarot readers and tarot teachers, and they learn from me. And together, that's how we build our knowledge of tarot, not by rigidly sticking to one person's school of belief and method of interpretation. We take on everybody's, and then we can say, why, I didn't see that. And this happens to me all the time. How come I didn't see that? And then I'm going to include that in my list of interpretations because it makes sense to me. Sometimes it'll make no sense, and then you just leave it, because our minds work in different ways. I'll see things that you won't, and you'll see things that I won't. It doesn't mean to say either of us are right or wrong, or either of us know less than the other or more than the other. It's just our individual way. I'm just trying to give you kind of expand your mind into running in loads of different directions. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click like, yes, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you click, if you want to get further notifications of ongoing videos and new videos that come up, don't forget to click on the bell, and please share it. If you think somebody else might benefit from this video or any of the other videos, please share it. And if you would like me to make videos on other topics and other areas in relation to tarot, please leave a message for me in the comment box, and I will kind of start building up an inventory and start working my way through. It's what you want to see and learn about tarot. So until the next time, thank you for watching.